Hey guys, Matt here. It's the Broken Super Coach checking in. We've got teams came out last night. Obviously, a game last night, and I actually forgot to tip last night. I was so worried about Super Coach, so that's good. We're just going to run through the teams. There are a few interesting selections which have changed what I'm doing this week for the trade. So we'll see that at the end. we'll and R about captaincy for a while. Probably have no idea who we'll pick, but let's have a look. So this was last night's game. So, well, Morris Rioli was a sub, was he? So I've actually still got Rioli. I didn't realize. That's handy. So at least he's on the edge there, but he probably just plays a Martin or someone. And then we had Sarah and Marshbank out, so that was that. Durden picked. Not sure how he scored. We can look into that actually. Let's have a quick look while we've got this open. So Durden, I'm just looking on my phone. Durden 57, so not bad as a defender for 123k actually. He's going to be too late, but if you wanted to get him, it does look like he will play for at least the short term. So if you needed to go down to him next week to do your last upgrade, then fine. St Kilda Essendon, so that's tonight. Bunch of ins, no relevant out. Mitch Owens is obviously the big one. Had been playing well enough that hopefully he gets in, but these are some big names. But Wanganeen Miller for Mitch Owens, I think, would be the one. You'd think so. So Massimo D'Ambrosio, we're loving that name. What an absolute beaut of a name. Let's have a look what he's worth if we go into. So I'll just open this up because I haven't done this yet. Apologies, folks. Massimo, 102k defender, so playing. We'd love to see that as well. So another option in defense, if you need an option in defense, that is, which I think a lot of us might in the next couple of weeks, or at least just a downgrade if you're holding Dacos, if you're holding McCartan, even if you're holding a midfielder, or if you still have them, sorry, even if you're holding a midfielder and you can maybe be able to bring a defender down and insert, say, like a Dawson in the mids and bring in another defender if you're not happy with the 8th mid, which is totally acceptable option. Mitch Owens will be back, though. Shame he's out this week. We would have liked him on field, but that's all right. Keep an eye on this lad. Parrish injured. Cutler omitted. So D'Ambrosio might get a bit of a run, so we'll see. Bruce back in, playing with Flynn. Interesting. Named at R1. Flynn named in the forward line. So they're going to go the 2 ruck options, as they would against Tim English named at R1 here. So they're going to try to beat him up, which is unlucky for what we're going to do for us English owners, but we'll see how we go. Big game, actually, because Studios are playing some decent footy. Nothing really relevant. If you had Buku Karmas in your squad, that's unlucky. And Bailey Smith is a disaster pick if you've picked him a couple of weeks ago when he got DPP. He's out for 4 now, so you basically I'd take that on the chin and trade that out if you've got the trades. But obviously, as we see, there's some more trades to make, premium trades that is to make down below. So, Bryn Teagle in. This has got to be the weirdest decision probably in the AFL. So they play with no Hayes and lose. So they play with no functioning ruckman and then lose a game of footy, and then admit that they were wrong and bring in Bryn Teagle the week after. So, obviously he was fresh, really fresh to the scene, and maybe he didn't know the systems, but to be that off Hayes, that tells me that Hayes has to go from your Supercoach team. You have to trade him. You got to understand that they dropped a bloke with no replacement. That's where it was at. They dropped him with no replacement in line. And now the replacement came in a week later. So rather than just say, all right, we'll give Hayes one more crack, they just said, nah, we don't need you. Out you go. And Teagle came in a week later. So, and at the risk of losing a game. So, yeah, have no faith in Hayes anymore. I hate hearing things like, because they said it at the start of the year. one of the port coaches, might have even been Hinkley, one of the port coaches came out and said, oh, he's looking prime, he's looking good, ready to go. And they've dropped him for no one last week and brought in a bloke who wasn't on the AFL list until 2 weeks ago. So that tells me that they're lie set or bust. They've got another young fella, I think. I think he's injured at the moment. So Hayes is not in the picture. Cheekle, you assume, will be their ruck until Lysette comes back in about, 4 weeks, still 3 weeks maybe. Which is fine. We'll get Teakle early. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking Teakle early. I trust his job security. And I want Hayes' cash out. And I wasn't initially going to get rid of Hayes. So there's a number of reasons why I'm doing Teakle in his first week and skipping Judson Clark next week. And skipping Judson Clark this week, rather. And probably getting him next week. Maybe not, though. And it's because I need Hayes out. The only reason you'd keep Hayes is if you wanted a guy on the bench who's playing in the rucks. He's not. So you want a scoring ruck to back up. I probably don't need it because I've got Darcy Cameron and I've got Tim English, but whatever. As well as, I only need to make 1 or 2 more trades to get full premium. Probably just one more. So if I'm not cashing out Hayes and he's not playing, then he is an absolute waste of $300,000 on the bench, if that makes sense. So I'm better off holding a guy like, say Dacos, who's scoring well, or McCartan, who can be played in 2 positions, scoring well, who's still playing. I'm better off never cashing them out than I am not cashing out Hayes, who's not going to be any use to me. So Hayes is out, which means I get to keep one of Dacos or McCartan. So yeah, that's a bit of a rant. We'll go into it more when we get to the team itself and the trades that I did. So big ins for West Coast, big ins. Home game. Shame if you held Greg Clark. I think I was lucky there in that I needed to get rid of him just because of my awkwardness in round 13. So I traded out, 5 guys over 2 weeks. And he was one of them just because I had to, because I was looking at 13 on field in round 13. So I had to start rotating guys early, and Greg Clark was one of them. I reckon I can't remember when I did it now, but yeah, with it and Gawn. And honestly, these guys, I know there was a comment earlier, a comment yesterday on the older video about this. Is it worth trading these guys out? Yeah, anyone getting dropped from West Coast right now that you might have Witherden, you might have Clark. I don't know why you'd have any of these other guys. Maybe you wouldn't have Nage. Yeah, get rid of them. Look at these names coming in. Sheed, Yo, Petrocelli, Jermaine Jones, McGovern, Rioli. These are real West Coast players. These blokes are fake ones. And Witherden, while he scores well, if you talk to anyone who barracks for West Coast, anyone who follows them even remotely, have wanted this guy dropped for weeks. He's just cheap. He's a cheap possession getter, and he's not good. He doesn't contribute to winning the game. So I doubt any of these guys will be back. Maybe Witherden comes back, but I wouldn't trust it. Nothing to talk about here. Same old. Stewart missed nothing, which is cool. That's probably who we're going to get this week. It was him or Walsh, and I just didn't trust that Walsh, after his low score, I wanted to see him score. I want him to prove it to me, if that makes sense. He did, obviously. But I needed him to prove it. And it's the same with Merritt. If he can go off in this game against the Saints, then that's a totally fine prove it game for me, and I might grab him as my 8th mid as well. So that's cool. We've got that game there. And again, as we say, always name a captain against West Coast. That's proven week in, week out, or against North. That's proven week in, week out. I might vice captain Tom Stewart because I'll bring him in. I might vice captain him just to see how he goes. Every chance he doesn't do well, but you've always got to play your odds like that. And last game, Crows Gold Coast, couple of good. They haven't named the full team yet. Couple of good captain options for the Sunday, which is nice. Laird and Miller. Miller historically plays very well against the Crows, and Laird historically plays quite well against Gold Coast. So neither team tend to tag a huge amount. Sometimes they do run with stuff, but I wouldn't be too fussed about that. We've got Dawson named at halfback. Love to see it. We've got Laird named first on ball. We love to see that as well. Rochelle named on field, so he's back in. Obviously, you got rid of him. But guys like Hinge, I'd be concerned about. Hopefully, you didn't go early on Parnell. That would have been foolish. Probably not, though. And yeah, probably not much there. Not much else. I think Ben Keys, I've cooled on Ben Keys. I really liked him. So I was tossing up between Laird and Keys. Obviously, Laird was the right call. And then thinking about Keys after the bye, obviously I've cooled on him. I think he's been running as the captain every now and then, and he seems to have taken a bit too much responsibility, and he's not playing the best footy. Wouldn't want to captain Wits against O'Brien. O'Brien is a good ruckman. That's not to say that he doesn't pop off, but I just wouldn't want to do it. So that's the teams and the final bye. So this bye actually isn't too bad for me, despite the outs that we see. And you know what? I just noticed. One thing I didn't say: Cooper Stevens named. You beauty. So we've got a bonus round out of him. Because still no Dangerfield. Am I right? Yeah. So still no Dangerfield. So, sucks for Dangerfield, but very nice for us. We get Cooper Stevens playing. So didn't expect that at all. Really happy with that he's playing as well, because that certainly helps us with a score on field. Morris Rowley did get on for 25 points with a break even at 6, so you absolutely love to see that. So yeah, as you can see, I've done Tom Stewart, I've done Hayes for Teakle, and I've moved Darcy Cameron into the ruck. So with one thing that's not actually mentioned is that Gawn is out. So because Melbourne doesn't play, Gawn is out 3 to 5 weeks. Syndesmosis. We've seen that injury go from, that can be 3 weeks, 2 weeks, that can be 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You just don't know. And the truth is, for the price that he's paying, it's a perfect time to trade him out. And I know that makes it really tight, but he has to go for me. And the reason why he goes for me and why he may hold for a couple of other guys, for a couple of you lot, is I've got English and Cameron. So he's a simple trade for me. It was Hayes and Gawn's out. Cameron will be my ruck too for the rest of the year until Grundy comes back, and we'll see how he performs. English sits in the forward lines. That's the full forward line still done. I've still got all of them with Will Brodie sitting there. I trust Will Brodie. And McCartan will sit there, and Rosas. I've still got one more mid to take. Unfortunately, Petraka isn't looking real. That really hurts. But that's okay. That's what we've got to do. Cripps also looks trash, so a lot of these guys are starting to look really awful. Short as well. You see I bring in Tom Stewart. I'll vice him, obviously. And we'll throw the captaincy on Miller for the time being. So that's how the team's looking. Obviously, Owens isn't playing, but I've just got him there. And then I'm going to hold Dacos. So what this means is I've got 160k in the bank, which is enough to look at. We've got McCartan and Dacos, so we can go up. So hopefully we can go up to Merritt, and hopefully Merritt proves, and we skip Walsh. But if we have to go Walsh, then it's 2 trades, and that's really awkward because, sorry. And the obvious one that was just sitting in my forward line that I didn't say is I've got rid of Gawn and I've gone Bontempelli. So apologies there, because I'm not doing the trade in front of you. I went Gawn, Hayes, and who would the other one be? Coleman. Coleman was an absolute beaut for me as well. I love him. I should have just done this to begin with. Coleman. His break-even 60. He's been really nice, but it's him or McCartan. They're both the same price, and McCartan still has some money to make, and there was no point holding McCartan last week if I don't play him this week. So, bit of a stubborn trade that. Bontempelli slips into the forward line, finishes out my forward line still with English, Bont, Dunkley, Parker, Keneally on Brodie. That's my 6. I don't love it, but I don't think there's very many good forward options. The only one I'm missing there is probably Heaney, and I don't really care about that. And now with Bailey Smith out, I really think Bont's going to start to score. Teakle and Hayes, obvious choice. Hayes is never coming back. You need that 200k gone. He's one of our better money makers. You need it gone. And then I'll just grab Stewart. Yeah, high break even. It was similar break even to Walsh. I trust Stewart a bit more than I trust Walsh. Stewart's always reliable. We'll see what he does. Against West Coast, he might not do much, but I think that's a good choice. So that's two primos in. That's the defense line done. So who have I missed in defense? Shame that Short is probably not the real deal. I hate his role at the moment, but whatever. It's these five: Stewart, Sinclair, Hewitt, Dawson, Short, and Sicily as the six in defense. Still with Dacos there. He's probably the one who I trade next week to get to Merritt, but we'll see what happens. There might be a better option on board. And I obviously skip every rookie that comes, so because I can just do it in one. But if I want Walsh, I'll do it in two. Yeah, and then backup will be Ware, and one of those kids, Massimo or Durden, someone like that, will sit here if I get rid of Dacos, that is. The other option is I got Laird, McRae, Miller, Cripps, Oliver, Neil, Petrarca. I need one more defender, one more midfielder. It's probably, you hate to say it, but it's probably going to be Merritt or Walsh there. And we'll have Soligo, Rioli, and Mitchie Owens playing for us. Perhaps Steven. So one of these guys will need to make way. It's probably, Rioli probably stays in the team. And how I get to it is probably Rioli down to here, sits on the bench. McCartan goes out, and in comes whoever I can afford. So awkward. I'm gonna be keeping Dacos, but I like that he swings across both lines. If I have to trade out, one of these injured mids, I can just get Dacos in, and I don't really have to do much for it. So that's nice. Yeah, the two rucks are gonna be Cameron and Witts, with Teakle providing some cover there. So that's nice. We can also just do English. It doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Week to week, we can switch those around. Whatever happens. If Teakle gets dropped, then we can start looping. We've got some good choices there. And that's good also if, Witts, say, doesn't make it throughout the year. We don't have to fuss about getting Darcy, who may not make it through the year as well. We can just throw English up there and get another forward. And we're sticking with Brody. Rosas, who sadly is in the extended bench, and then it'll probably be Rioli, and they'll be our weakest spot. Really bad forward cover, but it is what it is, because we've got, like I said, we've got Cameron English and Teakle, who can also cover here. We're weak in the forward line. I accept that, because McCartan will be the one to go. So that's the team. That's how it's looking. Look, I'm not in love with it. I wasted a couple of trades early. If I realized I didn't need Cooper Stevens, I probably wouldn't have got him. I'm trying to think of trades I shouldn't have made. Probably shouldn't have traded Crisp, but I just didn't like watching him. I traded Witts in and out, so that's two trades. I probably should have just held Witts for English, who I could be getting this week. Obviously paid nothing for English, though, so I'm pretty happy with how that panned out. Should I have done Butters to Darcy Cameron? Yeah, probably. I don't hate that, actually. The more I think about it, I really quite like it. Yeah, there's a lot of trade. I don't think I've made a huge amount of errors trade-wise. We're just tight, that's all. One or two here or there. Frustrating. Probably didn't need to trade for Rosas. He never played for us. Anyway, and the reason being, if I had extra trades, I'd get rid of Petrarca this week. He'd be perfect time to go. I'd want to trade Short to someone else, probably Crisp in the end. And now Cripps is the worry as well. This guy he's not looking good. He's still broke even, which you actually like, but boy, he starts to look very weak in the next couple of weeks. And we traded him as a keeper. If you started Cripps, do not be afraid to trade this man. You paid $400K for him. He's made you $150K. Trade him out. Get a different midfielder. I don't know who, but get someone. What are other people grabbing? Doherty in defense, which I don't mind as well, but I've gone Stewart. I'm more reliable Stewart for me. Has a high ceiling. Yeah, Doherty's good. And yeah, I see the 74 and I see the 39 where he got injured. Not too fussed about the 97. 97 was the game where Sam DeConning just went absolutely wild. So I'm not too fussed about that. I think Stewart's a more reliable option than Doherty, but more than happy for you to have saved 70k there. Anyway, oh, and the one thing I'll talk about before I go is obviously no Brad Crouch in the middle. If you traded in Brad Crouch, you're a genius. Well done. You've got to be really happy with that. In fact, I actually tip my hat to you trading in Brad Crouch when Steele went down. For me, Steele comes back too soon, and I can't afford to have two guys that I need to keep an eye on. Well, when you can really think about it, five guys. I need to keep an eye on Cameron when Grundy comes back. We need to keep an eye on Cripps. We need to keep an eye on Petrarca. We need to keep an eye on Short. I can't afford to have Brad Crouch dropping 80s when Steele comes back. That'll be six. That'll be five guys who are just not ideal players. And we've, Brody with Fife as well. So keep that in mind. So that's a lot of guys that I'm starting to have to look at that I'm genuinely concerned about. So I just can't afford to take more risk with Brad Crouch. But if you want to do it, if you've got extra trades, perhaps you don't have Cameron, more than fine to bring in Brad Crouch this week, play him for a couple of weeks, watch him on the week when he comes back with Steele. If he doesn't score 100, ship him out. If you've got the extra trades, do it. I think it's really good value. I think he's the best midfielder to take at the moment in the M8 position for his price, for his performance, better than Walsh. But I just can't do it because you probably have to trade him in 3 weeks. All right, thanks, guys. That's teams. Have a good one.